My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Risk Magazine. This is for our On the Record segment, and we're talking with Scott Campbell today, who's part of a great tribute band. I don't know if you want to call it a band or a project, Bob. We can get into that, but it's called Farmer Bob. And I guess the name of the band is kind of, you're telling me, one of your bandmates kind of picked that as a nickname for you. Is that correct?
It wasn't for me.
Okay.
I don't know where it came. I honestly cannot tell you what it came out of. I could probably scroll back in a text to March.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, crazy lockdown stuff.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
People sitting at home.
Being bored, right?
Yeah. I don't know where it came from.
But I'll tell you a funny story real quick on that before we get into today's interview. Is I was searching for your Facebook page the other day, and I typed in Farmer Bob, and you would not believe all the different things that came up.
Yeah, I did that too.
But that's fun though. Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to have a naming contest one day. I don't know.
Well, anyways, it gets people talking for that reason alone. It's pretty. So what we were going to talk about today, first of all, one of the songs that you sent me a link. You guys are also on Reverb Nation. I really suggest people go to the Reverb Nation for Farmer Bob, and they could get really a better idea of what your band's all about. But you guys got a list of great songs up there that you covered, and one of them was the Nazareth song "Love Hurts." And first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the band's decision to kind of cover that tune, how you picked that one, and how big of an influence was Nazareth on you growing up.
Not a huge one.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I liked, let's say, Hair of the Dog, the album,
Yeah.
the cover, is burned in my mind since a child.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't know, it's almost like a Coca-Cola bottle.
Oh, I so agree with that. Yeah.
Even though I'm not a not Nazareth fan. It's just not one of the bands I bought a bunch of albums of. And followed.
Yeah, and that's.
And I probably should. I probably should just go out and buy everything they have, because the couple things I do know of I love. So,
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that, because Nazareth is one of those bands. I don't know if I put I don't know if I'd say they're an iconic band, but maybe at this point they are. It's interesting. They're one of those bands. Probably anybody you talk to, if they're a rock fan or into hard rock or metal, especially, they've heard the name Nazareth first of all. And I always remember growing up, like you, I'm not a huge fan, but I was aware of some of the songs, and I dug what I did know, and like you, I didn't go out and buy all the albums or anything like that, but I'm aware of who the band was. And I remember growing up as a teenager, when I first started hearing some of this music, one question on my mind was always kind of, what the hell does Nazareth mean, and I could never figure it out. And then I was, in research for today's interview, I got on the internet, I got on the band's Wikipedia, and I really, I got a little bit of an answer in that Nazareth is a city in Pennsylvania, and I'm kind of thinking, why would a band from Scotland name themselves after a city in Pennsylvania? But I do know a lot of bands, that's one of the hardest things, like you were saying, to come up with a band name, and they might have just came across that. Oh, that sounds, I don't know what a Nazareth is, but that sounds pretty cool, So who knows if they even knew it was a city in Pennsylvania, but that's what it is, apparently, according to
wow.
Wikipedia.
I knew it was a city in Pennsylvania. I didn't know that. I thought they named it not necessarily that they're a religious band, but just for the imagery. Like, it just sounds like Jesus of Nazareth.
It could very well could, but again,
but obviously not.
Well, I mean, it could have two. It could have two different meanings. And then talk a little bit about Nazareth. The song, like a lot of people that I was really, that really introduced me to Nazareth. I got to say, not so much "Love Hurts," but the title track from that album, which was "Hair of a Dog." And
Hair of the Dog, yeah.
And when you kind of you come to learn, when you, like, I used to just love what the lyrics say, now you're messing with a son of a bitch, and I guess that's what they tried to call the album, "Son of a Bitch," but the record company at the time, they thought that's a little too controversial. No, we can't do that. So the guys in the band kind of came up with a unique title, because what do you call I guess a bitch is really kind of a hair of a dog is a British term. That's another name for it. But also, hair of a dog is a remedy for people that like to drink, and they have a heavy night out, and you take this tonic stuff, and it's supposed to help you get over a hangover. But so that was a unique way, and you know that is such a rock and roll thing in a way to me because, okay, well we can't play a song on the radio, or we can't call the album "Son of a Bitch," and I even remember hearing stories and reading articles back in the day where when the album was really popular in the 70s and 80s, you know, and people would play DJs would play the song on the radio not knowing that was the lyric until they heard it, "Son of a Bitch," and they'd get the song played on the radio, kind of, you know, and it became a controversy. It became the very thing they are known for. Now, "Love Hurts," that was as much, and see, I talked to a lot of people, and that's kind of, they have the same story as me. That's the song that kind of introduced them to Nazareth, and that was like the big radio hit, was "Hair of a Dog."
Yeah.
You say "Hair of a Dog," everybody knows what you're talking about. And "Love Hurts," interestingly enough, from what I was reading, it was like the band's only top 10 hit ever, and it was actually a bigger hit than "Hair of a Dog." And it's interesting because as I was sharing with you, in doing research for us today, I come to find out that "Hair of a Dog" is actually originally an Everly's Brothers tune, and I think I sent you the link to that, and it's interesting because it's a very different sounding song. I mean, it's more of a poppy tune, but that's the other thing Nazareth did. When they covered the song, they really made it their own. They owned the song, if you know what I mean. So much to the point that a lot of people like you and me weren't even aware of it. It was an Everly Brothers tune. A lot of people hear "Love Hurts," and that's another one of those songs that has become a part of a soundtrack to our lives for a simple fact. How many songs or even TV commercials have you like "Love Hurts" have you heard in movies and TV commercials and stuff over years? That's a song that we've heard I don't know how many times, but it's had staying power all these years. And when you hear "Love Hurts," people don't right away say, "Oh, that's an Everly Brothers tune." They think it's a Nazareth tune, you know?
Yeah, that's the only way I think of it.
Yeah,
I mean, they did more with it. The Everly Brothers didn't write it; they did other people.
Oh yeah, I give them credit for that. And like I said, it's interesting when you go back to see the roots of like a cover, a song that somebody else is covering. When you go and listen to the original version, sometimes it sounds nothing like like the original artist. But you got to get credit where credit is due. That's where the song originated. And I mean, a great example of that too is I'm sure you've heard of the band Tesla. Well, they had that big hit with the song "Signs." Again, a lot of people think that's a Tesla song. No, it was originally done in the 70s by this band.
Oh, that's an old song.
Five-man electrical band. But I actually interviewed Tommy Skew, the original guitar player who played on that. He was telling me, he goes, "Here's the thing with that." He goes, we didn't write that song. That was an original tune, but we were ones that we had a big hit with it. I mean, it was a hit like years ago in the 70s.
They owned it.
But he says, we had a huge hit with it, but the original band, all these years later, they started making money because we had a hit with it,
Ace didn't write New York Groove. We can go forever. But he did something with it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Ace is one of those. He's got a great Ace Frehley. Speaking of him, he's got a great, I'm sure as you know, a new solo album. It's called Origins 2. It's like nothing but covers, and a lot of people I've been seeing online are, Ace does nothing but covers these days. He's got great original stuff too, but doing covers is something he's become known for. And like you said, he's got a knack for picking great cover tunes. You were talking to me last night when we were emailing each other back and forth, preparing for today's interview, Scott. You're saying next time I'd like to talk about the Sweet, and we'll get into that because you guys did a great Sweet cover. But I'm bringing it up now only because Ace Frehley, while we're talking about him, he did a great cover of Fox on the Run a couple years ago, and I tell you, as great as the original version was, and it's still great to this day, he really aced it up. He made it his own, but that's one of those tunes I could see a guy like him covering that,
That's cool. Yeah, I could definitely hear it.
And I got to say, in regards to Ace's new solo album, if anybody hasn't had a chance to hear, run out and get it, or at least listen to a couple of the tunes, go on YouTube, because for me, the track that really kills it on his new album is a lot of people have heard the recent cover the Dead Daisies did of 30 Days in the Hole, but Ace did a cover of that with Robin Zander on the lead vocals, and let me tell you, Robin Zander just kills it.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite singers of ever,
Yeah, and so now talk a little bit about you guys covering this song, "Love Hurts." Whose idea was it to cover it, and was it just because it's one of those songs like we were saying that everybody's heard throughout the years, and you thought, hey, this would be a fun tune to cover?
I used to play it in cover bands when I was a teenager. And it's just, I think, I just bought like a new Fender amp. I'm a Marshall guy.
Okay.
And I was sitting there playing with a phaser, and I just started playing that song. I'm like, and then I just knew it right off. So I just started tracking the guitar part to a click with the big warbly, unified and sound. And then so I just put it to a click and sent it to Mark, the singer, and he threw the. Like right when I said, hey, I'd like to do this song. Yeah. I knew Mark could sing that thing.
Yeah, wow.
Knowing his range and how good he is, I'm just like, he's going to nail this one.
Yeah,
so.
and you know, it's interesting. We were talking earlier about, you're saying, you know, Nazareth was one of those bands for you, a lot like me, that I didn't really have a single album in my collection, but you know, again, in prepping for today's interview, Scott, I went on YouTube, and it's interesting. You can go and you can type in, you know, like album titles, and then a lot of times they'll have full album on display. And so, in prepping for today's interview, I said, well, okay, I've heard Hair of a Dog, I've heard of, you know, Love Hurts, but I haven't heard of any of these other songs on the album. So I went down the list, I listened to every single track, and it's kind of interesting. It was like, even though we're talking about an album that came out like 1975, it was like listening to a new album, you know, for the first time, because I hadn't heard any of those other tunes. And after listening to the whole thing, I thought to myself, because, you know, today with modern technology, people are so limited. They want either everything right now, or but it's like, I'm not even going to, you know, I'm not going to buy the whole album. I just want to get the single, or it's 99 cents or whatever. But it was like listening to a new album for me so much, even though we're talking about an album that came out in 1975. After listening, I thought, you know, these songs aren't that bad. You know, I want to go out and get this album that came out all these years ago and put it in my collections. It's that good. It would be that good to put it in your CD player when you're driving down the road, and, you know, it gives you something fun to listen to. But, you know, and at the same time, Nazareth's one of those bands, I know the name, I know some of the songs, but I can't even name a single member of the band, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's a household name, and that covers ingrained in my mind. For a reason. Yeah, it's not just because the cover was cool.
No, but see, that's the kind of a point I'm making too. At the same time, is it's interesting because, like, I'm such a huge Kiss fan, as you know, and I could name a lot more Kiss songs probably than Nazareth songs. But like you said, at the same time, Nazareth, they've left their mark on the world. I mean, even if that was the only album they ever put out, all these years later, we're talking about all these years later, those songs are, you know, Nazareth's not touring around the world like they used to back in the 70s and 80s, but their songs are still being played on the radio, you know, and that says something to me, you know. See, that to me what really makes a great song, and you probably know this as being a musician and picking songs that you want to cover. The thing that really makes a great band is if they have the songs. I mean, people, like, for example, when they talk about Kiss, they'll say, oh, you know, they're not great musicians, but you know what? Kiss is a band, especially of Gene and Paul, the main two guys, the singers, the songwriters. They write great songs that have great hooks.
Yeah, they're catchy.
50 years later, these tunes are being played on the radio. That says something about, you know, all the great bands. If you really think about what did they all have in common? Great songwriters, right?
Tunes, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have the tunes. I mean, you could have a band with 5 great-looking guys, but if they don't know the first thing about how to write a song, they're not going to last too long, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even Van Halen wrote good tunes when they wrote them.
Yeah.
I mean, they became more of an original band after the fact, but...
yeah. I mean, even Van Halen, you take them, for example, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows the fact that on the first Van Halen album, the song You Really Got Me, I mean, that's originally a King's tune, but interestingly enough, it's been the song since 1978. Enough people have heard that song. There's enough of us out there that might not even know that it's not a Van Halen song, you know?
Right.
Because they own that song, you know, so much.
Yeah.
And they did that. That's what a great cover does.
Remake. You know, there's covers and there's remakes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Or tribute. You know, and nowadays, like, you're a tribute band or a cover band.
Yeah.
Like, we have some songs you listen. I kind of was trying to also do a tribute to who produced the album.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, you know, and it's just me. It's a learning thing as a recording engineer, just trying to get those sounds that they did.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that's fun. And some of the songs, I feel like I got the air of how it sounded, even though I wasn't trying to, like, match it note for note and tone for tone. Just get, you know, that general. And then most of the times, hopefully, in a much more high definition because of the newer technology. But Some of the songs we did lately and more are starting to become our interpretation.
Oh yeah, well that's cool too, because again, what I dig about that is it's still giving love to the song, and at the same time you're maybe introducing the song to like a new generation of people that have never heard it. You know, I mean, like I'm sure when the Everly Brothers first heard Nazareth's remake of their song "Love Hurts," they probably felt like they bastardized it, but at the same time they had all that money coming in from the band's hit, having a new life, so to speak. And I will tell you, the thing I love about tribute bands is I've been to see many of them live, and I'm a big supporter of tribute bands. I'll tell you why. To me, I like to call it rock and roll theater. There's a lot of people out there that have the attitude, hey, if you're playing in a tribute band or a cover band, you're a failed musician, you're playing other people's music. But I don't necessarily see that way. For example, I know a guy out here in Los Angeles where I'm from, he plays in the Guns N' Roses tribute, and I got to tell you, he does a great Axl Rose. I mean, he looks the part, he's got the guy's voice down, he dresses the part. You go to a show, and the band's called Appetite for Destruction, and they do a lot of early Guns N' Roses stuff. But in any event, he can do stuff from all the eras. But anyways, he's got the look, and the whole band has just got the look and the sound down so much that when the lights go down, you could pinch yourself. You'd almost think it's 1987 again, and Guns N' Roses coming out with Welcome to the Jungle. They're just that good. And see, for some people, that may be as close as they ever get to seeing another Guns N' Roses show, because the band's not touring like they once did back in the day. And when they do come to town, it's cost a heavy penny to go see Guns N' Roses live. So that may be closest people ever get, or it may take somebody back to the first time they heard Welcome to the Jungle or Sweet Child of Mine on the radio for the very first time. I mean, that's how good some of these tribute bands are. And to take what I'm saying a step further, I'm sure you've heard of the band Steel Panther, but the lead singer there, Michael Starr, he used to go by the name of Ralph Senez, and he got his start out here in L.A., and he was his start was like in
Playboys.
No,
not Atomic Playboys.
Atomic Punks. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Playboy, Steve Stevens.
Yeah, but the Atomic Punks, they were like the premier, one of the first tribute bands paying tribute to the original Van Halen, and he had his David Lee Roth down so good it's not even funny. But eventually, like Tracy Guns discovered him, and he recruited him for LA Guns. And he did pretty good with LA Guns. He had a pretty decent voice, but here's the thing.
That's right, he did LA Guns for a little bit.
Yeah, but here's like a little EP.
I like Ralph saying. Yeah. Mike Starr's amazing.
Yeah, but what trips me out about so he joins LA Guns. He records like a 5-song EP or something like that with them, and it sounded pretty good. But then he actually ended up at the time going back to Atomic Punks, leaving LA Guns because he was making more money. Paying tribute to David Lee Roth, if you will.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually he got the idea, him and some of his friends, to form Steel Panther. And what I dig about that is that's kind of taking it to the next level in the sense that people will say that's a tribute. No, it's a tribute maybe to the era, but that's all original music. Yeah. That's what I dig about that band.
Oh, they're amazing. They're very, very underlooked. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're so good that they're catching on anyway.
Yeah, and
it's good to see some dudes. These guys are my age.
Yeah.
And it's good to see these guys. I mean, they started making it in 2008.
Yeah.
And now they have to work. They're not ever going to be big, huge, famous, sell a billion albums, but I think they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, they probably have the best pandemic game of any band I've seen.
I mean, I think that. I mean, you say they're not going to be rich, but I think they're doing quite well, and so much. I'll tell you a story. I recently seen an ad on Facebook about Steel Panther where people can hire him like to make a customized song for them. So like if you wanted to hire Steel Panther, they'll write a song maybe about you or your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. And they were also featured recently in a Del Taco commercial where.
Yes, they were. Yeah, they've done a couple commercials.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool that they got their thing going, and they wear their metal they wave their metal flags so proudly, if you know what I mean. Very much like Judas Priest. They're not ashamed to say, "Oh yeah, we're a hair band, sure."
Yeah, I've seen them once, and honestly, I got tickets to see them on the 17th of December.
Oh wow, wow! Looking forward to that. I bet.
I mean, they're very tight. They can play. I mean, they're just a tight band.
Yeah.
It's a real band. Russ Parrish is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, he used to play with Rob Halford. People may forget that,
yeah,
but yeah, fight, yeah. But yeah, they're quite a force to be reckoned with. Now, have you ever over the years seen Nazareth in concert? I was just curious while we were on the subject of them.
I've never seen them.
Interesting, yeah, and I'm one of those too. Yeah, I had a couple chances too, but for one reason or another, kind of fell through. Something else came up, but yeah, but they're one of those bands that a lot of people sadly kind of forgot about. And when you look at the fact that a lot of bands like from Europe, a lot of the European bands came like from the UK, England, especially like London and that, and I'm talking about bands like Purple and Sabbath, even Judas Priest. But what's unique about Nazareth, they came from Scotland, and I can't think really of any too many bands outside of Nazareth that really came from that part of the world. And so they're kind of, for whatever reason, they're one band from Scotland that just blew up all over the place for a while, and that's kind of interesting when you think about it. Yeah, and getting back to the Hair of a Dog album, like you're saying that album, just the cover is so iconic. I mean, it's interesting how important back in the day album covers were, because for example, that's one like just burnt in my mind. I've never forgotten. I see that picture and right away, yeah, Nazareth. Very much like I remember first time I seen Number of a Beast album in a record store by Iron Maiden. I knew nothing about Iron Maiden, but I thought, man, that album cover, whatever that is, that looks so cool. I got to get it.
Yeah, I like the ones that you can listen to it and stare at it for hours.
Oh yeah. That.
And then the album sounds like the album cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see,
probably because you just like imprint it in your brain with it.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. Like getting back to Nazareth, that they're kind of like Iron Maiden. They're not a band of a bunch of pretty boys, but they had great songs. Like I said, they were great live performers. Oh, it didn't matter what they looked like, But you know what I'm saying? Like for example, like especially in the '80s, that's where a lot of people focused on the looks.
On TV.
It didn't really matter what you looked like back then if you had good songs. And I think, fortunately, we're talking about Nazareth. Like almost 40 years after the fact. That this album came out. But there's they made their legacy. They made their mark in the world, and so there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah. So now you also sent me a cover you guys did of White Zombie's Thunder Kiss. I just got to say you kind of really you did a great job of kind of owning that, like we were talking about, and really making it your own.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So do you guys have any other tunes you're planning to cover any days in the near future? Or do you just kind of whenever you get a great idea, you guys kind of get together and do it?
There's some of these they take a little while. Some of them we spit out really quick because somebody just really wants to do it. And some of them, like I'll sit around and just be bored one night, record a bunch of just like programmed drums and then play over it a little bit, just kind of massage a bunch. Just depending on how I feel. So yeah, there's about 10 songs in the works, and we even have like some Bee Gees coming up.
Oh, that's interesting. Now let me ask you. Not that you want
to. On Broadway.
Oh, cool! Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Now the Bee Gees too, because they were interesting because they came out in a time when like disco was a craze and everything, and that's kind of what they're known for. I mean, when people think of the Bee Gees today, Saturday Night Fever and all that, but and they had just a great tune. But I'll tell you, it's sad since the other two brothers died, because I mean, I guess Barry Gibb could carry on as a Bee Gees, but it just would not be the same. I mean, he's a voice, and he's a face and everything, but those three guys together, that's what made the group,
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Van Halen, they're brothers, and it's tight and could predict what each other doing. Their harmonies were like the same person was singing through a machine sometimes.
Oh yeah.
That's the fun part about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading stuff, after Eddie passed away recently, where somebody was spreading these rumors that, oh, great news, Van Halen's going to carry on, Wolfgang's going to replace his dad on guitar, and I'm like, nothing great against Wolfie, but I just don't see that. And he even came out and said, no, how could you guys, say that? My dad just died and all this, but I like kind of like you're saying. I've heard the Van Halen's talk over the years about how you were saying, like, they have such a they're so tight musically together. They can predict what the other one's going to play before they even play it. And I just don't see Alex Van Halen ever maybe if he did his own thing, maybe, or got another band together. But I just don't really even that see Alex Van Halen ever wanting to step on stage again, for the simple fact, not that he couldn't do it or doesn't have a right to, but him and his brother was so tight. I mean, I kind of feel for Alex, because it's like not only did he lose his younger brother, but they were tight. Yeah. They had one of those, they were like tight as thieves, as you say. That was his kid brother, his best friend. So could you imagine? Right. That'd be very hard to step on stage again without somebody you were that close to.
Most of us have siblings and things like that, but we go off and move away, get different jobs. I mean, I didn't work with my brother since I was a teenager. Yeah. So that's something, and just like a band like Rush, you stay together, and we're, from 1968 till 2015,
And I've also read over the years where some of the band members were feuding, where Michael Anthony, he never really went back to Van Halen, and Alex didn't necessarily agree with that, but they I heard Sammy Hagar talk over years, he goes, Alex and Eddie didn't always agree, but because they were brothers, no matter what Alex thought, he'd stick by his brother. If he agreed with it or not, he'd go along with what he thought should be. And you gotta respect guys for that they have that much love for each other, that they stick by each other's side even when they don't agree with one another. I guess that's not just true brotherhood, but true friendship. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting now. Were you much of a Van Halen fan, Scott?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about a Van Halen tune you'd like to cover?
We have two of them in the works. I have one that I've done before he passed away. We have it done. The drums are done, and we're trying to find somebody to sing on that could do a good David Lee Roth.
Okay.
But I have one, and then I'm starting one of the Van Hagar era.
Oh, cool.
Involving a Makita drill. So. Okay.
Now let me ask you about that. I mean, in regards to being a Van Halen fan, do you prefer one era over the other, or are you kind of like me, or a fan of it all?
I'm a fan of it all, but I definitely prefer the Dave years.
Yeah.
For the main reason, it's not just David Lee Roth. It was more of a dark swing music type of thing, really heavy, big band swing, bass. That's cool. Yeah, because that's what the brothers came from, as well as having a singer, influenced by Louis Prima and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I heard one of the main things the brothers kind of had kind of friction between them and Dave over was the fact that he was so into dance tunes. But again, like you're saying, I think that kind of gave the music a little bit more of a flair, a little more of a different kind of style. I mean, even something like if you listen to Dance the Night Away, that's kind of a great little pop tune. But I mean, and that's another one of those tunes, very much like Love Hurts we were talking about. How many times have you heard Dance the Night Away in a movie or even on a TV commercial or something? I mean, that every time I hear that tune, I mean, even before the vocal comes in, I know what song it is. I mean, it means that much to me. Great little fun pop tune, but. See, that's, and the Van Halens are maybe a little more influenced by a little more harder edge music, and they kind of thought it was funny that Dave was such into dance music. But if you look at even how he would move on stage, David Lee Roth's not necessarily the greatest singer, but he's an entertainer, and I dig that,
Yeah. I liked his singing.
Yeah.
He didn't do it great live because he was jumping up and rising.
Yeah.
Scissor kicks and.
I mean, like a lot of people tell you, yeah. I mean, a lot of people tell you Sammy Hagar's a better singer, maybe technically, but David Lee Roth, for what he does, he's a great singer. I love him for what he does do. I mean, when he went solo, to me, one of the greatest songs for him to cover made sense. Just a Gigolo, and then I mean, I mean that vision of him doing that video. I remember the music video to this day. I love it. Then Dave TV and all that stuff, and I'm just a gigolo, and he's going dancing around. That's David Lee Roth. You look at that video. That's what he's all about.
And honestly, I couldn't imagine Van Halen doing 5 more albums like that.
Yeah. And that's why it's kind of interesting. The last album they did, A Different Kind of Truth. Interesting album, because I dig some of it. I dig a lot of it, but if you compare back to the last thing he did in 1984, sounds drastically different. Part of the reason for that is they still weren't getting along great, but they decided we'll get back together. And I guess Ed had his son Wolfgang go back in the vaults. They found all these great demos that the band did back in the day, and they said we'll go and kind of rewrite these, re-record them. Now, like if you listen to Tattoo, that really sounds like a David Lee Roth tune. That sounds like something Dave could put on one of his solo albums. But it's a great little pop tune. And another one I like off of there is You and Your Blues. That's kind of got like a little bit of an edge to it. But it's got some deep cuts. But I would have loved for the first album the band did for them to go in the studio and kind of write new stuff together. But we got what we got, and hey, it's a cool album for what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
when they did Me Wise, man, the songs that they did on the greatest hits of the '90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If they would have got back together then, that was on fire.
Yeah. It's a shame it took a few years later after that. See, even I remember at the time, Dave did his thing when they went on the MTV Awards, and he's dancing. Maybe he was high or something. He's doing a little dance. They got pissed off kind of, and so okay, out you go, Dave. And then they brought in Gary Cherone. I thought Gary Cherone did a good job in the sense that when I dug about him being in Van Halen, it wasn't an overall great Van Halen album, but like I did like the single Without You. I thought that had kind of a Van Halen flavor to it. It was a little bit of a pop tune. It sounded, and I don't know if they were trying to or not. I mean, it makes sense. Gary Cherone was a singer of both bands, but it sounded more like an Extreme album to me than a Van Halen album, and that's the only thing. Yeah, well, that's fine. People have, different.
It's not bad. I can't sit there. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that any of it sucks.
Yeah.
But I just never was a fan, and not because he's not good.
Yeah.
Something about Gary Cherone, I can't do him.
Now let me ask you: did you like any of the stuff he did in Extreme, or just he's not a guy?
I like Extreme, the band.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
He's got these really corny lyrics.
Yeah. Well,
and he had this fake kind of like I'm a metal hip hop. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Oh, I got you.
Did not. He didn't. No.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I got you.
He was like a really lanky, goofy Paul Stanley to me.
Okay, interesting. Now Gary Cherone, though, as far as being in Van Halen, I did think the one thing with him is he was able to cover like both eras of the band. Like when you had Sammy. Except for maybe Jump.
Yeah, he has a voice. He's a professional singer. Actually, I'm just cruising through after a lot of videos are popping up in your feed.
Yeah.
And he sang the Dave stuff pretty decently.
Yeah. Whereas like Dave didn't want to do any of the Sammy stuff, and Sammy was like the only Dave song he wanted to do was Jump because that was such a big hit for the band. But Yeah, I do agree. I remember one album Gary Cherone did like after that. Like I don't know what it's trying. It's called Exit Elvis or something, and I don't know what he's trying to do. I think that's maybe what he was trying to be a little bit metal, a little bit of rap, but it just didn't seem to work, So I think that might be what you're talking about. But yeah, I agree with that. Now, I got to ask you when it was announced about a month ago that Eddie had passed away. I mean, when you first heard the news, I mean, were you shocked or were you like me, like, well, I'm not totally shocked because I know he had been battling the cancer,
but I was like you.
Yeah.
I wasn't shocked because, like, when they first kind of announced it, I was like, I kind of got shocked then.
Yeah, I was shocked only because I had heard, but I wasn't totally shocked. I thought, okay, yeah, well, because I had been hearing rumors like for the last year he'd been going between Europe and I think sometimes even Germany and well, that's Europe too, but and back and forth to the United States for treatments, but. When I first heard he died, they announced that he'd actually been battling the cancer since like 2000. So like he'd been battling it for 20 years. What a fighter, man! Yeah. So you gotta love a man for that. But yeah, Scott, I'd like to thank you for doing this today. I think you kind of got a little better idea what I had in mind here. But hang on for a minute and